Part 44. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 441. When everything turned into silence, everything calmed down. The bombing sound of the ultimate move fell into silence, and everything returned to normal. That's normal. After Yejing and the others crawled out of the hole, they couldn't help but be shocked when they saw the messy scene in front of them. Oh my God, is this demolition going on? Or is the excavator pushing pictures? It was a mess for miles around. The ground was full of pits, big pits connected to small pits. It was as if it had just experienced a meteor shower. It was extremely miserable. The ground was overturned several levels, and a meter-deep soil was pushed away. Zhao Xiangbang looked at the surrounding scene with a horrified expression, and said with a trembling voice, "I feel that we are really lucky to be able to survive." Gray said he felt the same way. Fortunately, the response was quick enough, otherwise there would have been no bones left. They were still alive, but the other monsters nearby were not so lucky. The corpses with no bones left were all light, and the more serious ones were directly blasted into the most primitive energy in the universe. By the way, where is Master Anthony? Where is the flame dragon? At this time, they remembered the protagonist of this battle, and they didn't know who won and who lost. The energy fluctuations nearby were too mixed, and the inexplicable energy fluctuations were intertwined together, which seriously affected their breath pursuit, and they could only rely on a pair of eyes to find it. Anthony is hard to find, but the flame dragon is easy to find. If you look in any direction, you will see the huge body of the flame dragon. In the distance, the flaming dragon lay flat on the ground, creating a huge pit. Its dragon body was covered with dragon blood, and the golden and alluring dragon blood flowed all over the floor. This top-notch potion material was just wasted. The dragon scale armor on the flaming dragon was in tatters, with several deep cracks hanging on it. The cracks were all over the dragon's body, as if it would be completely broken in the next second. Dragon blood dripped from its dragon eyes. Although it was scarred, it still opened its unruly dragon eyes. Is this a deadly rhythm? When Zhao Xiangbang saw the scars on the flaming dragon's body, he couldn't help but tremble all over. He was instantly excited and his whole body became excited. I feel like it's time to take a risk. Yejing and Zhao Xingban looked at him as if they were mentally retarded. What do you want to do? Of course I want to be a dragon-slaying warrior. Zhao Hanbang looked excited, took out his golden shovel and ran towards the direction of the flaming dragon. Look at that flaming giant dragon. It's covered in wounds and lying motionless on the ground. It's obvious from the first glance that it's seriously injured. Now there's only one person left to finish the job. Don't grab it, let me do it. Yejing grabbed Zhao Xingbang, who was about to die, and said helplessly, "Please be quiet, please take a closer look. Are you sure that the flaming dragon is seriously injured?" "Certainly." Zhao Hanbang was just about to say something when his eyes had already moved to the flaming dragon. Then, stunned, I saw that the golden dragon blood on the flame dragon had stopped flowing away, and the scars on its body were recovering at an extremely alarming speed. In the blink of an eye, the cracks on the dragon armor were connected again. It is estimated that before Zhao Xingbar reaches the flaming dragon, its injuries should have almost recovered. Zhao stepped back several steps with a whoosh of the horizontal bar, a look of cold sweat on his face. This guy wasn't injured at all. He recovered so quickly. Of course he was injured. How could he not be injured after enduring Master Anthony's one-hit forbidden spell? The golden dragon blood dripping on the ground is the injury of the flame dragon. These drops of golden dragon blood are all the blood essence in its body. Every drop of blood essence contains this huge energy. I want to lick it so much. Yejing looked at the golden dragon's blood dripping all over the ground. He couldn't help but have a look of greed on his face, and his saliva was about to flow out. I really want to lick it. If this was licked clean, wouldn't it mean that he would directly break through to the destiny realm? However, is life more important, or licking dragon blood? After thinking about it for a while, Yejing gave up the idea. It's too dangerous. Just when they were looking for Master Anthony, an energy wave came from a kilometer away. Is this Master Anthony? After they looked at each other, they hurriedly ran over there. Now Anthony was their thigh. If anything happened to Anthony, they would all become the rations of the flame dragon. The distance of 1 kilometer, depending on their speed, reached them in less than 10 seconds. When I arrived, I heard a scream. Ouch! My old waist! From a certain pit, a white-headed old man covered in stains crawled out tremblingly. On his body, the original dark blue robe was torn and disfigured. There are still many traces of blood on the old face. Anthony covered his lower back with one hand and his chest with the other, and staggered out. It seems that now, he is not the all-powerful arcane master, but a street old man. Boss, are you okay? Master Anthony, are you okay? Damn it! Is this okay? The three people hurriedly gathered around Master Anthony, looking up and down at Master Anthony's injuries, feeling the messy aura in his body, and asking for help. Fine. Anthony waved his hand. After taking a deep breath, he snapped his fingers very gracefully. After snapping his fingers, a wave of energy came out faintly. Then everything was purified. All the stains and blood stains on Master Anthony's body were swept away, and the torn robe was restored to its original state. His old waist, which had been sprained, was also normal. This secret technique is really useful, and it is most suitable for cleaning the room. Although it seems that Anthony has no scars on his body, his face has obviously turned pale, and his eyes are hidden with deep fatigue. The spiritual energy in his body is still messy, and his aura is extremely messy. This is the sequelae of using large-scale complex forbidden spell secrets. All the elemental spiritual energy is intertwined together and cannot be sorted out in a short time. Not only that, the surrounding spiritual energy was also drained just now, and it is now in a state of recovery. The spiritual energy is scarce in a short time, and it is impossible to release a large-scale forbidden spell again. Yejing saw Master Anthony's fatigue and asked carefully, "Are you okay? How about I contact the Dean to escort you back?" Anthony shook his head, "That's not necessary. He still has to stay in the Magic City. I think I can still do it." "Do you think you can do it again?" "Well, you can always do it." Suddenly, a dragon roar interrupted their conversation. In an instant, their faces changed drastically, and they all turned their eyes to the direction of the flame dragon. In a short time, the flame dragon regained its domineering aura of being the only one in the world. It raised its head and roared through the world. Its flapping dragon wings rolled up endless wind and sand, and a strong wind blew in an instant. With a shocking dragon roar, the flame dragon flew up again. After scanning in the air as if patrolling its own territory, it found Anthony and others. Anthony looked solemn, pushed Yejing and the other two away, stood up, looked directly at the flame dragon, and said calmly, "Do you want to continue?" His previous highest level magic wand had exploded, and now he took out another one from the storage space, a magic wand of the same level. The flame dragon still looked unconvinced, and snorted coldly, "I'm not afraid of you." He flapped his huge dragon wings, and flames fell from the sky. Anthony's pupils widened, and after waving the magic wand in his hand, dozens of elemental cannons appeared behind him. "It's like I'm afraid of you, a lizard. Then come up. I must eat you, the old immortal today. Why don't you come down? I'll beat you to death with my magic wand. Come up if you dare. Come down if you dare." The smell of gunpowder was full, and the second battle was about to break out. Seeing this scene, Yejing hurriedly winked at Zhao Danggong. However, at some point, Zhao Danggong grabbed some melon seeds and entered the melon-eating state. You dare to eat the melons of the flame dragon and Anthony? You're going to die. Hey, Yejing patted Zhao Danggong's shoulder very rudely. What? Zhao Danggong asked with dissatisfaction. Yejing expressionless, are you sure you want to eat melons here? Don't want to live here, it's only one step away from the battlefield. Hurry up and open the dimensional space. Oh. Zhao Danggong only reacted at this time, and hurriedly took out the golden shovel. Just when he was about to open the dimensional space again, everything changed. Suddenly, the hellfire burning in the depths of the Kilin Mountains suddenly erupted. An energy wave full of despair and death, completely higher than the spiritual energy, instantly spread from the depths of the Kilin Mountains. In an instant, the breadth of the abyss increased several times, covering the entire Kilin Mountains. In the sky, the hellfire, which was originally extremely dark, became even darker after being covered with a layer of abyss energy. The riot of the hellfire, the eruption of the abyss energy, directly attracted everyone's attention. The flaming dragon twisted its head, and a red light flashed, as if it could see through the Kilin Mountains. Anthony turned his eyes to the direction of the Kilin Mountains, as if he wanted to see through the space and see what was happening over there. What's going on? Why did the hellfire and abyss energy suddenly erupt? Yejing frowned and looked at the hellfire in the sky, and suddenly a bad premonition emerged in his heart. The hellfire that connected the sky and the earth had burned most of the Kilin Mountains. The deep black flames fell from the sky like lotus flowers. Each black flame contained a large wave of abyssal energy. At this time, Yejing did not notice that the spiritual energy in his body was replaced by a little bit of abyssal energy. This was not absorbed by him at all, but the abyssal energy automatically flowed into his body. The abyssal energy was very small, only about 1% in his body, but this amount was gradually increasing. When the abyssal energy completely replaced the spiritual energy, he would be the only creature in the entire solar system that used abyssal energy. It was just that the abyssal energy in his body was so rare that he had not noticed it yet. For a while, everyone present did not dare to act rashly, and no one knew what was going on now. The war between the fiery dragon and Anthony was also extinguished by the abyssal energy. Before Anthony made any move, the flaming dragon took a step ahead. It looked at Anthony and then at the depths of the Kilin Mountains, as if it was weighing the value of both sides. Should it continue to fight with Anthony? Or should it enter the Kilin Mountains to devour the hellfire and absorb the energy of the abyss? It has a high IQ and made the right decision in just 1 second. Fight again tomorrow. After the flaming dragon roared loudly, it rolled up its wings and carried the wind with it, flying towards the depths of the Kilin Mountains. No, we can't let him take the first step. Anthony's face changed slightly when he saw the flaming dragon flying towards the Kilin Mountains. If the flame dragon absorbs this mysterious energy and its strength increases greatly, no one will be able to deal with it. You guys take care of yourselves, I'll go over first. Time was running out, and Anthony had no time to say anything. He just flashed and appeared 1,000 meters away. Flash after flash, as if there was no cooling. After a few flashes, he disappeared in front of the 3 people. Yejing and the other 3 stared blankly at Anthony's disappearing back. You should take us all the way. After a few seconds of silence. Let's go too. Thanks to Anthony and the flame dragon, all the monsters along the way were swept away by their aftermath, leaving only the distance. In order to rush for time, Yejing looked at Gray. It's your turn to appear. Gray nodded, indicating that he understood. It is just a means of transportation, and you will get used to it if you use it too much. He stretched out his 4 wings, dragged a person with one hand, and flew into the air. This time, he didn't dare to fly too high, just flying at a low altitude. After all, the sky above the Kilin Mountains was filled with mysterious black flames. He didn't know if it would have any impact on his body, so it was better to be cautious. These wings are 10,000 times weaker than the flame dragons. Zhao Xingbang complained. Then you should let the flaming dragon take you flying. Gray sneered. There were no obstacles and the journey was smooth. In less than 10 minutes, we arrived at the Qilan Mountains. Seeing the familiar scene again, Yejing sighed, I don't know where the white whale is now, or whether it will come out to pick us up. Don't make trouble, we have no friendship with the white whale, right? It may not even remember us. After entering the Qilan Mountains, Gray did not dare to fly anymore and slowly fell down, landing safely. From the sky above the Qilan Mountains, black flames like lotus flowers continued to fall. If it hit something, nothing might happen. Just when they entered the Qilan Mountains, another person also arrived. Look, who is that? Zhao Xingbang, who had been observing the surroundings, suddenly pointed to the sky, attracting the eyes of Yejing and Gray. High in the sky, a man covered in black robes stood in the sky. This person seemed to not exist, with no trace of energy fluctuations or life breath in his body. Is this a living person? Or a dead person? Have no idea. However, just when the three of them were confused, a scene that stunned them happened. The man in black robe picked up a black flame lotus, took a look at it, and stuffed it into his mouth. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 442. Dean, Wu Tian is here. In the highest conference room of the Demon City Federal Council, the Dean was sitting in it. In front of him was the strategic distribution map of each major area of the Demon City. The Dean frowned, staring at the strategic distribution map with a serious expression, giving strategic guidance every minute and every second, and the offensive and defensive battles of the entire Demon City were imprinted in his mind like an image. Although his eyes were always on the Demon City, his mind had already flown to the Qilan Mountains hundreds of miles away. In the Demon City, you only need to follow the unscheduled command, everything is fixed, and there will be no accidents. However, it is not necessarily the case in the Qilan Mountains. He knows nothing about the situation in the Qilan Mountains now. Hellfire, Abyss Energy, Flaming Dragons, Warcraft King, etc., these are not under his control. When everything is no longer under control, some accidents will occur. Although Anthony went to the depths of the Qilan Mountains, it actually did not have much effect. If he went to 2 or 3 semi-saints, he could completely suppress the Warcraft King of the Qilan Mountains. Maybe I should go there too. The Dean thought to himself, somewhat moved, and sighed in his heart. He didn't know how Yejing and his team's actions were going, and whether they were going smoothly. His eyes moved, and on the display map, he moved his eyes from the inside of the Demon City to the outside of the Demon City, and his eyes showed deep worry. On the display map, the Qilan Mountains that surrounded the Demon City had been painted with a certain black color. This is the color of hellfire. The hellfire was initially burning only in the depths of the Qilan Mountains, covering only about 20%. And now, just a few hours later, the Qilan Mountains have been burned by more than 50%. At this rate, it will not take 3 days to burn into the Demon City. The speed at which the hellfire spread was beyond his expectations. Although the Abyss Energy is important, the Demon City and Blue Star are more important. If Yejing can't control the burning of the hellfire within a day, then he will have to consider arranging for the citizens in the Demon City to transfer and retreat. Once such a choice is made, it is equivalent to giving up the Demon City. Just as the Dean was frowning and thinking about countermeasures, the door of the conference room was suddenly pushed open, and a middle-aged director walked in with a heavy face. Dean, according to the satellite exploration of the Demon City, Wu Tian of the Dark Realm has arrived at the Qilan Mountains. What? After a slight pause, the Dean's eyes flashed with shock, and his expression was extremely shocked. What's the situation? Even Wu Tian is here? and he has already arrived at the Kilin Mountains. Isn't this speed too fast? Wu Tian, the supreme leader of the Dark Realm of Blue Star, the emperor who commands all the dark forces, usually hides in the shadow of the imperial city. There are only a dozen records of revealing his true body in 100 years. The Dark Emperor Wu Tian is the only strongest semi-saint in the Dark Realm who can compete with him. It was also the Emperor Wu Tian who took up the banner of the Dark Realm alone. Being able to confront the Blue Star Federation, the power of the Dark Realm cannot be underestimated. In addition to Emperor Wu Tian, there are two semi-saints in the Dark Realm. Usually, large-scale operations in the Dark Realm are almost always coordinated by the other two semi-saints, and generally less important matters are also handled by the two semi-saints. Although he had considered that the Dark Realm would intervene when the Hellfire was born, he did not expect that the person who came was Emperor Wu Tian. This was really unexpected. Did he perceive the effect of the Abyss energy? The Dean's eyes flashed. Only in that federal conference did he reveal a little bit of information about the Abyss energy. Unexpectedly, Emperor Wu Tian knew it in a blink of an eye. It seems that there are many people from the Dark Realm among the federal directors. Although the Dark Realm did not do too many things that harmed the human race on Blue Star, their separate forces greatly delayed the development of Blue Star, which is a great sin. What's more, in recent years, especially after the establishment of the Crescent Moon Empire, the Dark Realm's intention to leave Blue Star has become more and more serious. Perhaps with just one opportunity, Emperor Wu Tian may lead the entire Dark Realm to leave Blue Star, occupy the planet by himself, and establish a new country. Once the human race on Blue Star is split into two parts, the consequences will be disastrous. Are you sure Wu Tian is here? The Dean stared at the middle-aged director and asked with a gloomy face. Sure. The middle-aged director nodded, and after he stretched out his hand and clicked a few times on the screen in the conference room, the satellite surveillance video of the Demon City appeared. This is thousands of miles outside the Demon City. A dark small black hole suddenly appeared above the originally calm Demon City, and the small black hole swallowed all the energy within a radius of hundreds of meters. A few seconds later, a black shadow walked out of the black hole. Wrapped in a black robe, his face could not be seen, and no objects related to his identity could be seen. However, when the black-robed man walked out of the black hole, the whole world seemed to have stagnated, as if time had frozen. The dust in the air, the weeds blown by the wind on the ground, and the birds flying high. Everything stopped, and time stopped flowing. After the black-robed man walked out of the black hole, another black hole appeared in front of him. Then, the black-robed man walked into the black hole in front of him again. Disappeared. In a blink of an eye, the image changed, and when the black-robed man appeared again, he was already above the Magic City. After walking out of the black hole, the man in black robe's eyes stayed in the Demon City surrounded by monsters for 2 seconds, and then walked into another black hole. Call. The Dean breathed a long sigh of relief and said with a solemn expression, "It is indeed Wuxian. I didn't expect him to really come. Walking in darkness, black holes follow you wherever you go." Wuxian had no intention of hiding his traces, and just walked over the Demon City in such a swagger. Just so arrogant, just so lawless. Dean, what should we do next? Should we notify other permanent directors to return and be prepared for any incoming Dark World? The middle-aged director who came to inform the news said with a worried look, "Every time Wu Tian appears, it will definitely be bad, not to mention that the Demon City is now under siege by tens of millions of monsters. If the Dark World comes to cause trouble at this time, the pressure will be even greater." Big. Now it would be better to recall the other permanent directors, activate the highest level of security in the Demon City, and be alert to incoming attacks from the Dark World at any time. Need not. After thinking for a while, the Dean shook his head and refused. Other permanent directors have other things to do. There is no need to recall them until there is a crisis. Except for him and Anthony, the other three permanent directors are not in Magic City. One is rushing to the water domain to observe the underground ruins. The other two were on guard against the foreign races in the Star Sea and had no time to worry about things here. Hearing the Dean's denial, the middle-aged director couldn't help but become anxious. Dean, this is Xuanhuan. He appears in the Kilin Mountains and may be planning something big. We must take precautions early. It shouldn't be a big problem. The Dean said. Judging from the movement trajectory, Xuanhuan crossed the Demon City and headed directly to the Kilin Mountains. This means that there are things he needs more in the Kilin Mountains, and he will not be looking for trouble in the short term. So what if I come, won't I still be here? But the middle-aged director still wanted to say something, but the Dean had already waved his hand. Okay, please step back and continue to observe the movements around the Demon City. If any more semi-saints come, report them anytime and anywhere. Yes. The middle-aged director stepped down and went out. Only the Dean was left in the conference room, deep in thought. Should I go to the Kilin Mountains? This time, not only the Flame Dragon and the King of Warcraft are here, but even the Xuanhuan Emperor of the Dark Realm is here. Anthony, the old man, may not be able to hold them back. Alas, I don't know if Yejing and his 3 children are safe now. If Yejing hears the Dean's thoughts, he will definitely reply. Not safe. Outside the Kilin Mountains. Emperor Xuanhuan walked out of the black hole. He was wrapped in a black robe and looked up at the black flame lotus falling from the sky. Is this the energy? A whisper that was unclear whether it was a male or female voice came from the black robe. After a slight silence, a pale hand stretched out from under the black robe and drew a black flame from the sky. The ethereal, seemingly insubstantial black flames landed lightly in the palm of Emperor Xuanhuan's hand. This seemingly harmless black flame can emit some kind of frightening energy. The moment the black flame fell on his palm, Emperor Xuanhuan suddenly snorted, and a pain came from his palm. He looked down at the black flames. The moment the fist-sized black flames came into contact with his skin, they began to spread and burn directly towards his arms. Excellent spreading power and coverage. Is it its own ability, or the ability of the mysterious energy contained within it? Emperor Xuanhuan was a little curious. After thinking for a few seconds, and with confidence in his own strength, he raised his hand and swallowed the black flame in his hand. It is odorless, intangible, has no temperature, and has no feeling, just like swallowing air. When the black flame flowed into his body, before it started to spread, it was sucked in by the self-made black hole in his body. Black flame, well, this is a monster. Emperor Xuanhuan is the strongest person in the dark system in the entire solar system. There is always a black hole in his body, a black hole that can swallow everything. This black hole was originally a young black hole that was born in the solar system. Before it could grow up, it was encountered by Emperor Xuanhuan, who then refined it for several years before refining it in his body. Originally a half-saint of the dark system, and with the black hole at his side, Emperor Xuanhuan suddenly became the most powerful man in the solar system when he came out of seclusion again. When the black flame was swallowed by the black hole, it disappeared into nothing in the blink of an eye, leaving only a trace of abyss energy overflowing from the black hole and flowing into Emperor Xuanhuan's body. Huh? This energy can't be swallowed. Emperor Xuanhuan was a little surprised. Logically speaking, his black hole could swallow everything. Whether it is aura, planet core, sun essence, or omega sublight, they are all within this range. But now, something outside the scope appears. This mysterious energy. Interesting. Emperor Xuanhuan was not a cold-blooded person. The corners of his mouth slightly raised, indicating that he was very interested in this kind of energy. Just as he was about to swallow another black flame, he suddenly noticed a fluctuation in his life. When he looked down, he found 3 children from the underground palace realm staring at him in stunned silence. Isn't this the legendary little director who defeated Pluto? It's really interesting this time. Zhao Hanban broke into a cold sweat. He seems to have noticed us. What should we do? It doesn't seem like it, but it definitely noticed us. Ye Jing said expressionlessly. They were looking at each other, but you didn't notice it? Don't panic, don't be nervous, the big guy upstairs is just passing by, just greet him in a friendly way at this moment. After calming down the panic in his heart, Ye Jing smiled at the Emperor Wu Tian in the sky. A very friendly smile with big white teeth. Hello, big guy, we are passing by, goodbye big guy. After Ye Jing greeted with teeth bared, he picked up a person in one hand and turned away. However, just as he turned around, a deep black hole appeared in front of them. Create a black hole out of thin air? Real big guy. Emperor Wu Tian walked out of the black hole, his expression could not be seen under the black robe, and a neutral voice came out. Are you Ye Jing? The moment this sentence came out, Zhao Dangang and Gray moved in unison, took a step back together, and pushed Ye Jing out. Ye Jing. Ye Jing looked confused. Sorry, did you recognize the wrong person? My name is LV Jin He. Why don't you say your name is Flying Little Witch? Gray and Zhao Dangang behind him were holding back their laughter, their faces flushed. LV Jin He? Not Ye Jing. Emperor Wu Tian muttered to himself. Yes, that's right. Ye Jing nodded very affirmatively. However, something he didn't expect happened. A bloodless hand stretched out from under the black robe, holding the latest Banana 20 Plus mobile phone from Blue Star. His fingers slid flexibly and clicked on the super block very skillfully. After a while of operation, Ye Jing's avatar picture appeared in their sight. Say it again, this is not you. An emotionless voice came from under the black robe. Ye Jing's scalp numbed instantly. Boss, you are better at super blog than me. Looking at your black clothes, you are not that one of the 10 clubs, right? Since it's exposed, I have no choice but to admit it. Ye Jing said cautiously, okay, I'm Ye Jing. Big boss, what do you want to talk to me about? Can you tell me your name? I'm familiar with the Dean and Anthony of the Board of Directors. Maybe we can get in touch. Dean? Anthony? Emperor Wu Tian laughed slightly sarcastically. What a coincidence, I'm also familiar with them. That's great. Before Ye Jing could breathe a sigh of relief, Emperor Wu Tian's finger continued to slide on the screen of the mobile phone, and a profile of his identity appeared in front of them. Ye Jing and the other two approached with curiosity. Name, Wu Tian. Identity, Emperor of the Dark Realm, Controller of the Dark Realm. Realm, Semi-Saint. Category, Dark. Features, Black Robe, no appearance picture, accompanied by a black hole, no specific introduction. Note, anyone who meets this person, please kill yourself if you are a semi-saint. Ye Jing, dot. Zhao Dangang, dot. Gray, dot. Damn. Met the big boss again. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 444. My constant contact with the big guys? On the way from the Demon City to the Killen Mountains, I just met the big boss. First there was the majestic flaming dragon, then Anthony with fluttering white beard, and now a mysterious dark emperor was thrown out. What's going on in the world now? It used to be that I hadn't seen a single half-saint in 18 years, and now I've almost missed all the half-saints in the entire solar system in 1 year. Is this a physical problem? Or is it a matter of luck? Now you know who I am. Emperor Wuxian said in a calm tone. He slowly withdrew his hand and hid it under the black robe. New. The three of them looked horrified, sweating profusely and nodded repeatedly. not daring to raise any resistance. This is a semi-saint who can't even handle big shots like the Dean. He can kill them with just a breath. Emperor Wuxian was very satisfied with the attitude of the three of them, and stretched out his hand to draw down a black flame from the sky. What is this? Can you explain it to me? The black flame that was originally burning unbridled suddenly withered away the moment it was captured by Emperor Wuxian, just like a chicken falling into the hands of the old black eagle. So it turns out that this thing bullies the weak and fears the strong? Loved it? This is it. When facing the enemy's big boss, Yejing did not dare to speak so casually. He had to consider what he could and could not reveal. He organized his language and said, "This is a shaped object composed of a variety of chemical elements. Its organizational structure is combustible, oxygen and temperature. After formation, it is divided into 3 layers, outer layer, middle layer, and flame core. Part. The fire in the flames emits some kind of mysterious energy, and the value of this mysterious energy is much higher than the spiritual energy." Emperor Wuxian. Are you giving me science knowledge about chemistry? I talked a lot, but not a single word was on the point. Emperor Wuxian smiled instead of being angry. "Forget it, I'll just watch it myself." After saying that, he stretched out a hand from under the black robe, and grabbed Yejing's head like an ordinary person trying to take something. Until now, Yejing has not noticed a breath from Emperor Wuxian. If there was not a humanoid creature standing in front of him, he would have thought that it was the air that had been talking. His aura was completely restrained, and even ordinary people would dare to believe that Emperor Wuxian was in front of him. But just such an ordinary person with no power or breath, stretched out his hand towards Yejing. And with this stretch, Yejing was horrified to find that he couldn't move anymore. "I'll hum you." Yejing wanted to cry but had no tears. Why does it look like this every time? With his mental and physical strength, once faced with the big boss's breath lock, the whole person is like a puppet that is out of action, unable to move, and even the body is out of control. Emperor Wuxian's aura was only aimed at Yejing alone, and did not suppress Gray and Zhao horizontal bar. Seeing Emperor Wuxian moving towards Yejing again, Gray and the other two were stunned for a moment, then started moving without hesitation. Zhao turned his hand over the horizontal bar and held the golden shovel, then drew a dark space crack between Emperor Wuxian and Yejing, isolating the two. Gray stepped forward, grabbed Yejing's shoulders, unfolded his light wings and was about to fly into the sky. Walk. However, all the actions of the two men fell into the eyes of Emperor Wuxian. The space crack erected by Zhao's horizontal bar was a child's play in the eyes of Emperor Wuxian. His outstretched hand went directly through it effortlessly, with the back of his palm facing up and his palm facing down, and pressed on Yejing's head. This hand, like a 5-finger mountain, suppressed Monkey Sun so much that he could not move. Roll. Emperor Wuxian uttered one word calmly, his eyes never leaving Yejing's body. After all, from the information he knew, perhaps there was no one else in the entire solar system who understood this mysterious energy better than Yejing. And if he wants to go further faster, he needs to master this energy. Yejing masters the core technology. Following Emperor Wuxian's role, behind Gray and Zhao Xingban, the space was distorted. After the rich black air condensed out of thin air, 2 black holes suddenly appeared. Along with the extremely strong adsorption force, the black hole sucked in all the flying sand, rocks, waste wood, and grass all around. The bodies of Gray and Zhao on the horizontal bar also dived into the black hole uncontrollably. Don't. Yejing was shocked and was about to reach out to stop him, but it was already too late. In the blink of an eye, Gray and Zhao were swallowed into the black hole in panic. Don't worry, I won't argue with the juniors yet. Emperor Wuxian looked at Yejing's angry eyes and said casually, just let the two of them go to the black hole for a while. Now, you better take care of yourself. Take care of yourself? What's the meaning? Yejing looked confused, but the next second, he knew what it meant. Emperor Wuxian's hand pressed hard on his head, and boundless black energy flowed out from his palm, completely covering Yejing's brain. Pain. Unstoppable pain. Everything from the outside to the nerves to the heavenly spirit seems to have been eroded. Soul-searching technique. WCNM. He is worthy of being the dark-type villain boss. He uses such vicious secret techniques every time he strikes. This shit is no longer vicious, this is anti-biological. This is insane. Damn it, seeing him speak so kindly, I thought he really wouldn't bother with the juniors, what a lie. When the soul-searching technique came out, Yejing was really panicked and horrified. This is not a joke. His memory contains many memories that cannot be told to outsiders. Earth, crossing, golden fingers, furnace, passive skills, black and white cats. Once these are known by Emperor Wu Tian, the consequences will be earth-shattering. In panic, Yejing couldn't help shouting in his heart, my abyss-level passive skills. Where is the hero? Where is the God of heaven? Come out and solve it. Life and death crisis. However, there was no action. After a few seconds, his consciousness began to fade, like falling into the deep sea, and gradually lost the ability to think. In a blink of an eye, it was dark. Yejing. When he opened his eyes again, he had entered the furnace space. In the furnace space, the black and white cat was lazily lying on the empty ground, squinting his eyes and sleeping. Your home is about to be raided, and you are still sleeping? Yejing couldn't help but get angry when he saw the leisurely black and white cat. This wall-breaking thing is not as useful as the furnace. He ran over in 2 or 3 steps, pinched the black and white cat's delicate neck with both hands, and shook the cat's body vigorously. Don't sleep. Think of a way. Someone outside is searching my soul. Get up. Damn it. Your cat's nest is going to be demolished. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouladin G. Bayet. Chapter 445. Cough, cough, cough. Cough, cough, cough. The black and white cat was awakened from his sleep by Yejing, and was roughly strangled by the neck. The originally black and white cat's face suddenly flushed, and its legs kicked wildly, and it uttered a few words with great difficulty. Let go. I'm a female cat. Can't you treat me gently? You are a female cat, but I'm not a male cat. Yejing threw the black and white cat to the ground with a snap, like throwing a figurine, and said in a hurried tone, think of a way quickly. There is a very cruel person outside searching my soul. If he knows the existence of the furnace, not only will I explode, but you will also explode. Furnace? Where is there any furnace? Isn't the furnace me? Unlike the very anxious Yejing, the black and white cat calmly smoothed his fur, his expression was extremely calm. Don't worry, when your consciousness is eroded, the furnace space will protect it. Aren't you safe now? Protection. Safe. Yejing was slightly startled. You mean, as long as my consciousness appears in the furnace space, the memory in the outside body will not be detected? You may have some errors in memory. The black and white cat showed contempt. Memory is such an illusory thing, it is entrusted to the spirit of the creature, it is entrusted to the consciousness of the creature, what does it have to do with the body? Yejing. Yejing was confused. Then what about others who kowtow and lose their memory? Amnesia is a state between the existence and non-existence of memory. The memory still exists in the spirit, then the amnesia will be restored. If the memory does not exist in the spirit, then amnesia is equivalent to losing memory. I don't understand. Yejing shook his head vigorously, slowly calmed down the panic in his heart, sat down on the ground of the furnace space, grabbed the black and white cat in his hand, and kneaded it repeatedly. Anyway, as long as my consciousness is still in the furnace space, the villain outside can't search my soul, right? The black and white cat was rubbed by Yejing and felt uncomfortable. She struggled hard but it didn't work, so she gave up and let Yejing rub her cat body, silently calming her resentment in her heart. It's an illusion anyway. It's an illusion anyway. Well, although the furnace space can't protect your body, it can protect your consciousness. Yejing breathed a sigh of relief and let go of his heart. If that's the case, there's no problem, right? Outside the furnace space, Yejing's head has been wrapped in thick black fog, with his eyes closed, standing unconsciously. The Emperor Wu Tian closed his eyes and frowned, and the dark source full of evil aura flowed into Yejing's mind, but he got nothing. This is the first time he used it in this situation. He is impatient. Under normal circumstances, he doesn't bother to torture, and directly searches the soul. Usually, he searches accurately. Even if the extraordinary realm is in his soul search, he has to open his memory and let him browse. But when it came to Yejing, it stopped. It was as if all of Yejing's memories were sealed in a room, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break through the door of that room. Interesting, this young man is really strange. Emperor Wu Tian's eyes flashed with a gleam of brilliance, but he didn't give up immediately, but continued to perform the soul-searching technique. It wasn't until 10 minutes later, when he really couldn't find anything, that he chose to give up. The moment he gave up, the black mist that originally enveloped Yejing's head, as if time was reversed, flowed back into his palm. In the furnace space. Where's the hellfire? Where's the abyss energy? Shouldn't I take some? The black and white cat said with a glare. If she hadn't had no fighting power now, she would probably have pulled Yejing's collar. Yejing rolled his eyes. Where is my other abyss level passive? How can it evolve? Can't you just work honestly? What good will laziness do you? This. Yejing's backhand attack made the black and white cat speechless, his eyes erratic. The evolution speed of the true inheritance method is not something I can control. Even if I sleep, the evolution will not stop. I don't believe you. Yejing sneered. Wait, I'm still in the hands of the villain, and I'm not sure whether I'm dead or alive. As he said, he suddenly noticed the movement of his body in the outside world. Is this the end of the soul search? Okay, you stay here honestly, I'm going out to deal with the boss. After Yejing gave a word of instruction, he exited the furnace space. Originally, he thought he would still be in the same place after exiting. But things were not as simple as he imagined. After his consciousness returned to the body, he found that he was actually floating in the air. What's going on? Yejing was shocked. This was not floating vertically, but floating horizontally. A black robe attacked his side. At this time, he realized. He was kidnapped. Yejing lay flat in the air, turned his head stiffly, and showed a smile that was uglier than crying. Boss, can you let me go? Emperor Wu Tian didn't even look at him. Ping Yun stepped into the air. When he landed, a black hole appeared. Go in. Emperor Wu Tian said, and the law came true. Yejing's controlled body was thrown into the black hole like cargo. Then he also walked into the black hole, and the two disappeared. 100 meters away from here, the end of the black hole appeared. Yejing went in horizontally and came out horizontally. Boss, where are we going? Yejing looked down at the sky and asked cautiously. Emperor Wuxian said calmly, go to the place where the flames are thickest. Yejing was confused. Just go, why are you taking me with you? Yejing could clearly feel that Emperor Wuxian under the black robe turned his attention to him for a brief second. It is undeniable that you understand this kind of flame and energy better than I do. If you want to survive, you must cooperate honestly. Regarding matters that he was not good at, Wuxian spoke out very calmly and honestly. But there is nothing to hide. There are not many people in the entire solar system who understand this kind of energy. Tulman Yejing started again. Yejing sighed secretly. This situation couldn't be worse. Let's make peace with it now. The most important thing now is to save his life. Not only to save his own life, but also to save the lives of Gray and Zhao on the horizontal bar. After several transfers of black holes, crossing 3,000 mountains, and drifting through thousands of black flames, Yejing finally reached the depths of the Kilin Mountains with Wuxian brand transportation. That is where the hellfire is thickest. This is also the place where hellfire was born. At this time, Emperor Wuxian did not step directly into the depths of the Kilin Mountains, but stayed in the sky. Is this the old man Anthony? And the flame dragon? Thanks to me Ming Xingyan's pimp for the PY deal. Thanks to the blue and white boss for the pie recommendation, 3P. Big Brother's new book I Survived 999 Heavenly Tribulations. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 446. In the depths of the Kilin Mountains, the clouds are so deep that no one knows where they are. In the Kilin Mountains surrounding the Demon City, there is a place that is almost like a forbidden area. The entire depths of the Kilin Mountains are shrouded in thick white fog. This is not ordinary white fog, but a spiritual entity that has been condensed and formed by a large amount of spiritual energy. This should be the place with the most spiritual energy in the entire blue star. It can be said that the Kilin Mountains and the depths of the Kilin Mountains are two places. The monsters in the Kilin Mountains will never enter the depths of the Kilin Mountains if they are below the super level. And the monsters above the super level are generally almost impossible to come out from the depths of the Kilin Mountains. This is like two realms. And now, the deep Kilin Mountains, which were originally full of spiritual energy, have completely consumed a lot of the white fog spiritual energy under the continuous invasion of hellfire. The thin spiritual energy is mixed with thick abyss energy, although this abyss energy is less than 1/10,000th of what the Hades released. But just this little abyss energy has attracted the attention of countless bigwigs. The superclass monsters that were originally sleeping in the depths of the Kilin Mountains have gathered at the starting point of the hellfire and started to absorb the energy of the abyss. The eruption point of the hellfire is at the highest peak in the depths of the Kilin Mountains, the habitat of the legendary Monster King. A huge 3,000-meter ice lake located in the Kilin Mountains. At the highest point of the Kilin Mountains, there is a flat ice lake with an area of about 5 kilometers, emitting a chilling cold air. This ice lake has existed in the depths of the Kilin Mountains for many years. Thousands of years? Or 10,000 years? The bottom of the ice lake contains pieces of 10,000-year-old black ice, which purifies countless ice souls. It is also this ice lake that gave birth to the strongest in the Kilin Mountains. This is something no one had ever thought of. Just a few hours ago, at the bottom of the unknown ice lake, an unknown black flame actually burned. After destroying countless 10,000-year-old black ice and ice souls, it burned the entire ice lake like a volcanic eruption and rushed into the sky. No one has ever enjoyed such a terrifying thing sealed under the ice lake that has existed for thousands of years. The hellfire broke the seal and burned the ice lake, the sky, and the Kilin Mountains. As the hellfire burned, a never-before-seen energy far higher than the spiritual energy was sensed and observed by the monsters. Many low-level monsters were extremely afraid of this mysterious energy machine, and rushed out of the Kilin Mountains under the intimidation of super-level monsters. The abyss energy is a thing of fear in the eyes of low-level monsters, but it is an extremely delicious energy in the eyes of super-level monsters. The higher the realm of the monsters, the more real their desire for the abyss energy. They can clearly feel the improvement of this mysterious energy on themselves. Now, the surface of the ice lake has been covered by the immortal black flame, emitting a black breath that has already taken shape. Around, there are more than a dozen monsters with super strong breath scattered around, and these monsters are all super level or above without exception. Among them, there is also a huge white whale floating above the ice lake. Although the energy of the abyss was surging, This group of superclass monsters did not absorb it immediately, but waited quietly. These superclass monsters are not without supervision. They also have a leader who dominates the entire Kilin Mountains. The King of Monsters. At this time, another hot flame ignited in the sky, with red and black flames intertwined. Roar. The huge dragon body of the flaming dragon covered half of the sky. After a dragon roar, it came to the depths of the Kilin Mountains. The flaming dragon's eyes first stayed on the super large white whale. It is n times larger than its body, covering the entire sky. Then, the flaming dragon set its sights on the ice lake. The deepest part of this ice lake is the place where the hellfire was born. And it can also feel that in the ice lake, there is a hidden energy fluctuation that is not weaker than his. The superclass monsters surrounding the ice lake were directly ignored by the flaming dragon. Maybe the superclass monsters are very strong, but they are just his food. Even the white whale is just a delicious food that it can eat for a while. When the flaming dragon appeared, the superclass monsters immediately felt the pressure of the level hidden deep in their blood, and bowed their heads. The dragon blood is strong. Following the flaming dragon, there was a small figure. A colorful light flashed across the sky, and Anthony arrived. "Are you annoying, old man?" After the flaming dragon flew low over the ice lake for a few circles, it raised its head and roared at Anthony. Among such a group of monsters, Anthony's body looked very small. But although it was small, its strength was first class. If the King of Monsters didn't come out, only the flaming dragon could compete with Anthony. Humph! Anthony snorted coldly, "If you withdraw from the jurisdiction of the Magic City immediately, everything will be fine. As long as you are in the jurisdiction of the monsters, I have the obligation to monitor you." Of course, it is not monitoring. It's just that their destinations are the same. They are all going to the source of hellfire. When the flaming dragon and Anthony confronted each other, and the surrounding superclass monsters trembled, a black hole suddenly appeared in the sky. Emperor Wu Tian carried Yejing and walked out of the black hole. "Oh? Isn't this the dragon on the top of Mount Everest?" "Yeah? Isn't this Anthony? Long time no see." The moment Emperor Wuxian's aura appeared, the sudden energy fluctuation made the flame dragon and Anthony startled slightly, and turned their heads to look at the sky. When Emperor Wuxian appeared, the flaming dragon just glanced at it and then continued to set its sights on the ice lake. They are all enemies anyway, and we pay the same attention to them at all times. Different from the blazing dragon's ignorance, when Anthony saw Emperor Wuxian, his expression suddenly changed slightly. The flame dragon doesn't know Emperor Wuxian, but he does. Unexpectedly, Wuxian, who leads the Dark Realm, has also arrived. Is the temptation of abyssal energy so great? However, when he saw Yejing floating next to Emperor Wuxian, his face suddenly sank. The spiritual energy around him gathered and his aura expanded. Then he flashed in place and reappeared in front of Emperor Wuxian. As the great emperor of the Dark Realm, it's not good to attack a junior, isn't it? Anthony said with shame. The colorful elemental fluctuations condensed in the palm of his hand, as if the sky would explode at the slightest disagreement. The two of them were not new acquaintances. During the long confrontation, the two of them had fought against each other many times, and most of them were evenly matched. As the saying goes, the person who knows you best is your enemy. Anthony knew one thing: even though Emperor Wuxian never showed his face, he usually looked like an ordinary person. However, when this person is ruthless, he is really ruthless. As long as you can win, you will do whatever it takes. As long as you can get what you want, you will do whatever it takes. Underneath the black robe, there is a dark heart. If Yejing falls into his hands, there will definitely be no good results. And Anthony glanced to the side subconsciously. Gray and Zhao were not seen on the horizontal bar. Could it be said? Already said he had been killed? Hateful. What a quick start. Sorry, since 2 people died, I am powerless, but at least I have to save Yejing. Anthony thought sullenly. Doesn't your heart hurt when you think about it this way? Oh? How did you see that I took action against the junior, don't you think so? Emperor Wuxian said lightly and looked at Yejing. Yejing, who was lying flat on the side, was controlled and forced to nod, with a stiff smile on his face. Seeing this scene, Anthony's face turned even darker and he was furious. Human beings are not toys you can play with at will. After the angry voice, he reached out and grabbed Yejing's body. As long as he touches Yejing's body, Emperor Wuxian's control over Yejing will be released. Anthony pressed Yejing's shoulder. At the same time, Emperor Wuxian also stretched out a hand and grabbed Yejing's leg. Release. Let go. One person grabbed Yejing's upper body, and the other grabbed Yejing's lower body, pulling Yejing's fragile body like a tug of war. Anthony's face was gloomy. Didn't you say you won't take action against the kid? Emperor Wuxian said in a low voice, I just have some problems and need help from the children. Yejing, dot. It hurts, hurts, hurts. Stop pulling it. This is a body, not a sausage. Just when Anthony was competing with Emperor Wuxian, shocking waves suddenly appeared on the surface of the originally calm ice lake. Black flames surged and waves rolled, as if something terrifying was about to emerge from the bottom of the lake. Something strange happened in the ice lake at the source of hellfire. Directly attracting the attention of the flame dragon, Anthony, and Emperor Wuxian. The flame dragon, which was originally very close to the ice lake, was also far away in the blink of an eye. It was still not sure about the threat of hellfire and this mysterious energy. The glacial lake showed that it was covered with layers of hellfire. With the strange movement coming from the bottom of the lake, the surging hellfire suddenly became more and more ignited. What's going on? Did hellfire riot? Wrong. This is not a riot. Suddenly, the hellfire covering the entire ice lake was gradually melting. The black flames, like blossoming lotus flowers, were instantly transformed into ice lotus flowers. The blossoming crystal clear ice lotus flowers stayed quietly on the ice lake, shining with dazzling light. The dark color was covered, and bursts of ice breath slowly rose. When the breath of black ice appeared, the trembling super-level monsters all around them all leaned over and lowered their heads again. What's going on? What happened? Just when the flaming dragon was wondering, a thrilling energy wave suddenly came from the bottom of the ice lake. Covered in ice, the fire was pure and clear, and the surrounding temperature instantly dropped by more than 10 degrees. From the churning ice lake, an icicle emerged from it. The world is spinning. Brilliant icicles rise into the sky, thousands of meters high into the sky. Among the icicles, a huge creature is carved in the ice. The moment this creature was born, the eyes of the blazing dragon changed, Anthony's expression tightened, and Emperor Wuxian trembled his hands. Anthony murmured, "Is this the Warcraft king who rules the Kilin Mountains?" The ice sculpture sparkled in the sunlight, and as it trembled violently, tiny cracks covered the entire icicle in the blink of an eye. Explode. Bang. The icicles shattered in response. The huge creature inside was revealed. Is this a bird? No. This is Phoenix. Made of ice crystals all over his body, his bright figure is like the moonlight, and the light of his wings illuminates for miles around. Crested head, phoenix tail, ice crystals, gorgeous feathers, arrogance, and nobility coexist. This is the king who rules the entire Kilin Mountains. The semi-saint beast that completely broke one of the 3 disasters, the ice crystal phoenix. The precious ancient bloodline is extremely rare. In the blue star, perhaps only the ice crystal phoenix and the fiery dragon are left. Didn't you see that the fiery dragon's eyes looking at the ice crystal phoenix have changed now? The originally violent eyes softened instantly, and 2 hearts could be vaguely seen in the dragon's eyes. Fiery dragon, Mom, I want to fall in love. However, the beautiful figure of the ice crystal phoenix trembled slightly, and the 100-meter-long phoenix wings flapped a hurricane, and the noble phoenix pupils slowly passed over the fiery dragon, Anthony, and Emperor Wu Tian. A crisp and pleasant voice came from the ice crystal phoenix. Welcome all guests to the Xuanhuan Lake in the Qilan Mountains. Well, a male voice. Interesting. When the voice of the ice crystal phoenix came out, it seemed as if it heard a heartbreak, and the eyes of the fiery dragon suddenly became dull. Flame dragon, Mom, I seem to have lost my love. No, it seems that for high-level creatures, same-sex reproduction is also possible, right? As long as the bloodline can be passed down, even if they are both males, they can tolerate it, right? After the inner drama, the flame dragon's eyes changed again. As expected of a rare SSR-level creature, it speaks so politely. After a slight pause, Anthony took a step forward in the air and bowed slightly to show respect. I'm sorry for coming uninvited. This was also the first time he saw a real phoenix, and his eyes were scattered. What a beautiful creature. On the other side, Emperor Wu Tian did not want to confront the ice crystal phoenix of the same level when things were unclear. After a brief pause, he nodded in greeting. Emperor Wu Tian, it would be nice to have an ice crystal phoenix as a pet. As SSR level bloodlines, the ice crystal phoenix stared at the flame dragon for a second longer. This time, the sudden outburst of flames and mysterious energy from Xuanhuan Lake caused a riot of monsters in the entire Qilan Mountains. I apologize to the Demon City for this. Ice Crystal Phoenix looked at Anthony and apologized in a gentle tone. Anthony shook his head and smiled with narrowed eyes. We are all neighbors. It is a good thing to visit each other. Just think of it as training the lazy practitioners in the Demon City. After a brief exchange, Emperor Wu Tian got to the point. Emperor Wu Tian asked, "You came out from the bottom of the lake. Did you find anything?" Ice Crystal Phoenix nodded slightly. The bottom of the entire Xuanhuan Lake is already covered with black flames. I searched along the source of the black flames and found a place similar to an alternate dimension. This suddenly appeared alternate dimension also shocked him. I have lived in the ice lake for a lifetime, but I only found another space hidden at the bottom of the lake when it erupted. Ashamed, so ashamed. Alternative dimension. Yejing, who was controlled and unable to move, could hear their conversation and thought that this could not be a relic left over from the last era. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 447. The Ice Phoenix had been exploring the bottom of the ice lake before. This was originally its home. It had been sleeping in seclusion and lived quite comfortably. But who would have imagined that a hole opened in his home and it was on fire? Who can withstand this? Especially this kind of black flame, it has no ability to extinguish it. No matter how cold the ice is, it can only freeze the hellfire briefly. After a while, it will continue to split and burn, and it cannot be extinguished at all. This is very annoying. Now the entire glacial lake, the sky, and the Qilan Mountains are filled with annoying black flames, making it no longer in the mood to sleep. Moreover, what makes it feel bad is not only the black flames and mysterious energy, but also these guests. Bing Huang glanced at them with an unchanging expression. These people were really annoying. Breaking into other people's homes without even saying hello and making so much noise is really annoying. Also, the fire on that lizard is so hot that it makes me upset. Why is it always looking at me like that? Disgusting as hell. Ice Phoenix lives deep in the glacial lake deep in the Qilan Mountains. She has never stepped out of the Qilan Mountains. She is a true homebody. The homebody has guests at his house, and he is still upset just thinking about it. But no matter how troubled he felt, Bing Huang still smiled gently. The appearance of that alien space is outrageous, as if it has been transferred from the borderlands. This kind of flame is also constantly emitted from that alien space. An alien space. Anthony floated down from the sky and cast his gaze into the glacial lake. His eyes flashed with a certain kind of golden light. The golden light cast, and he looked directly at the bottom of the glacial lake with a glance of 10,000 meters. At the bottom of the lake, there seemed to be a big hole in the clean bottom of the lake, with inexhaustible black flames constantly emerging. It was a large dark red round hole, about 3 meters long and 3 meters wide, connected to another space. It is on the opposite side of this space that there is an unknown mystery, from which the hellfire is thrown and flows into this world. I saw it. It is indeed another dimension. Anthony murmured. His eyes could only be cast to the bottom of the lake, and he could not see the situation on the other side of the alien space. That's right. Ice Phoenix nodded lightly. It's that alien space that keeps throwing black flames here. The bird occupies the dove's nest. Oh. Wuxian also floated down from the sky and looked at the bottom of the lake. In other words, does that mysterious energy come from another dimension? There are still very few black flames in this world, and there is only a little bit of abyss energy emitted. However, if it is at the source, it is not necessarily the case. It may contain endless abyss energy, and this brand new energy is their focus. I originally wanted to enter the alien space to check the situation, but I noticed that there was a visitor, so I came up. Ice Phoenix said, feeling extremely irritated. If it weren't for these guys, I would have destroyed the alien space long ago. It is said to be destroyed, but in fact it is powerless. Even if it uses its most powerful ice sealing technique, it cannot seal the alien space. Anthony pondered. In other words, no one can live in the situation in the alien space, whether it is dangerous or safe, right? Being able to generate hellfire and abyss energy and space is obviously not easy to deal with. I don't know what kind of dangers and creatures there are inside. But if you don't get in, you can't fix the source. Even if all the hellfire in front of you is extinguished, there will still be a steady stream of hellfire pouring out from the alien space. Humph, humans are just ink stains. The raging flame dragon's temper was rising, and it was irritated to death by every word. After snorting coldly, it fell directly from the sky and rushed into the icy lake, regardless of the gazes of others. The waves splashed and black flames flew. The flaming dragon took the lead and rushed straight to the bottom of the lake. In the blink of an eye, it got into the alien space. Oh my God! The grumpy old man leads the rhythm online. Seeing that the flaming dragon took the first step, Anthony and Emperor Wuxian couldn't help it. If there was any treasure in the alien space, wouldn't it be better to strike first? Then let me go in and take a look. After Emperor Wuxian paused for a second, he waved to the sky. Yejing, who was originally in his position in mid-air, flew towards Emperor Wuxian. Yejing. Yejing looked confused. No, I won't go. I have other things to do. Why is he following? What lineup is this? Flame Dragon, Ice Phoenix, Emperor Wuxian, Anthony. 4 big guys standing at the top of the solar system. Why are they going to call 6666? In addition, he still has a mission of his own. He has to extinguish the hellfire in the Kilin Mountains, and the abyss energy filling the air has been ordered by the black and white cats. However, Emperor Wuxian only said one sentence and made Yejing give up his thoughts. Emperor Wuxian said calmly, "Don't forget, your 2 good friends are still in my hands." Yes. I almost forgot that Gray and Zhao's horizontal bars are still in the hands of others. Not just the 2 of them, but also myself. Emperor Wuxian waved his hand, controlled Yejing's body, and got into the ice lake. Bitingly cold ice water. An empty lake bottom. A space where black flames float. Is this it? After sinking to the bottom of the lake, Emperor Wuxian saw the alien space that Bing Huang mentioned. As if there was a blazing flame inside, the entrance of the entire space was red and full of heat. Emperor Wu Tian first stretched out a hand to probe into the alternate dimension. Except for the high temperature, nothing else could be felt. Safe? Not necessarily. Could this fire be set by the flaming dragon? After just a moment of thinking, Emperor Wu Tian took Yejing into the alternate dimension. The scene changed. The stars moved. The space moved. Yejing felt like he was thrown into a furnace, his whole body was covered by high temperature, and his body was about to melt. When Yejing opened his eyes again, he looked at this alternate dimension. A few seconds later, Yejing looked around in a daze, and a very realistic word appeared in his mind. Isn't this the center of the Earth? A space made entirely of fire and magma. Flames were floating all over the sky, flames were flying above, and magma was flowing like a river below, flowing in all directions. Volcanoes were everywhere, spewing flames that could destroy the entire Earth. The entire space was only light, heat, and crimson. Other than that, there were only black spots like viruses. In the crimson layer, there were black spots. And the hellfire was emitted by these black spots. These black spots were slowly growing, and perhaps it would not be long before they would completely erode the entire center of the Earth. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 448. After the blue star was broken, all the surface layers were released. However, humans have not discovered the most critical part of the blue star. About the mantle, the core, the center of the Earth, and even the most critical core of the blue star, nothing has been discovered. So much so that for a while, scientists on the blue star were almost self-denying and denying the existence of the center of the blue star. Does the center of the Earth exist? Does the core of the blue star exist? If it does, where is it? Now the truth is finally out. It turns out that the center of the blue star is hidden in this place. But looking at this situation, it's a bit bad. Yejing frowned. If this is really the center of the blue star, then won't it be swallowed up? In this space, there are dark spots similar to viruses. The dark spots are dotted on the surface of the center of the Earth, eroding little by little. Originally, the center of the Earth should be the purest part of the blue star. It should only emit light and heat that emit energy. But what about now? Dark spots, hellfire, abyss energy. These dirty debris slowly devoured the center of the Earth. But Yejing was puzzled. Why was the center of the Earth in such an unknown space? Was he locked in by someone, or did he get in by himself? In order to explore the dark spots in the center of the Earth, Yejing suddenly took a few steps in the air. It was not until this time that he realized a fact. Can the body move? Yejing moved his body with a blank look on his face, and couldn't help grinning. Wu Tian's control disappeared. Not only that, he turned his head and looked around, but did not find the figure of the great demon king Wu Tian. It seems that he was teleported to other places. God assists, great. It's a pity that Gray and Zhao Dangang are still in the hands of the great demon king Wu Tian. Yejing sighed secretly, I can't do anything, I wish you good luck. After he calmed down, he looked down at the ground and found a foothold after searching for a long time. This is not the ground at all, but just a small piece of land that has not been submerged by magma. When Yejing's feet landed on the ground, he jumped several times and his mouth twitched violently. It's so hot. It took a while to get used to it. He moved while dodging the flames falling from the air. After jumping over several lava, Yejing arrived in front of a solid crater. The rock was burned red by the flames, and there were still black spots on the surface. Around the black spots that were only the size of a fingernail, a layer of hellfire was burning. Touch it first. Yejing carefully stretched out a finger and touched the black spot. He was terrified and trembling. But nothing happened. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. It wasn't until 3 seconds later that something strange happened. The black spots that originally covered the rock suddenly began to spread to Yejing's fingers. It was like a parasite, moving very slowly. Although there was no feeling, it felt inexplicably disgusting. What to do? Yejing shook his fingers violently, but found that the spots were like bone-eroding plasters and could not be shaken off at all. No way. Yejing's face turned black, and he hurriedly called on the spiritual energy in his body to drive away the black spots, but it was useless. Damn. Is this a scam? The black spots just stuck to his fingertips, and in a blink of an eye, they eroded one of his fingers. If this goes on, won't he become black? The poison is already deep. Sure enough, it's still too reckless. Yejing frowned, although a little panic, but his body didn't feel anything unusual. After thinking about it, he gave up thinking. He turned around and entered the furnace space. Help! Hey, why the hell are you sleeping again? As soon as Yejing entered the furnace space, he saw the black and white cat lying on the ground and sleeping lazily. The black and white cat now is like himself a year and a half ago. Yejing kicked the black and white cat roughly. He was furious to see that he worked so hard every day, but this dead cat was so leisurely. Who is the master? Huh? What happened again? The black and white cat sensed Yejing's breath, rolled lightly to avoid the kick, and said in a dissatisfied tone. Yejing said, "Look at what this is, get rid of it for me." He handed the finger covered with black spots to the black and white cat. This is. The black and white cat looked curious, sniffed twice, and the black spots had no breath. She stretched out her pink tongue and licked it again, and there was no taste. But even with such direct contact, what surprised Yejing was that the black and white cat did not get the black spots. What's going on? Viruses are also divided into species invasion? This guy can't be immune to all poisons. The black and white cat pondered for a long time and finally came to a conclusion. Well, I don't know what it is. Pa. I don't know what you are pretending to be. Yejing's face was black, and he couldn't help but slap the black and white cat's head. Don't say, it's quite soft. If it was in the furnace form, he couldn't slap it. No violence. The black and white cat whimpered twice and said his own guess, I sensed the breath of abyssal energy on this black spot. It seems that this should be the impurities left when the abyssal energy was generated. I guess it can be removed with abyssal energy. Abyssal energy. Yejing was slightly startled, I don't have it. He only has spiritual energy, where can he find abyss energy? Why don't you have it? The black and white cat was surprised, didn't you notice? A part of the spiritual energy in your body has been converted into abyss energy. Converted? How come I don't know? Yejing was really stunned this time. He hurriedly looked inside his body to check the condition of the spiritual energy in his body. The spiritual energy flowed through his body, from the top of his head to the soles of his feet, and then circulated back. He observed for a long time before he found the abyss energy that the black and white cat said. Yejing was silent, no wonder I couldn't notice it, it's only about 1%. The spiritual energy clock in his body contains a trace of abyss energy, and it is not just this little abyss energy. But the energy ratio in his body, and another 1% is completely converted into abyss energy. In other words, when his current energy is consumed and absorbed again, the ratio is 99% spiritual energy and 1% abyss energy. Of course, there must be abyss energy for him to absorb. Then I'll try. Yejing began to mobilize the abyss energy in his body. This super high-level energy is different. When it flows to the fingers eroded by black spots, all the spiritual energy it encounters retreats. The method of use is the same as spiritual energy, right? Yejing mobilized the only abyss energy in his body to the fingers eroded by black spots. In a blink of an eye, a trace of black air flowed out from his fingertips. The moment the abyss energy touched the black spots retreated from Yejing's fingers like a son seeing his father and a social animal meeting his boss, and turned into black air and dissipated in the air. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 449. Now, I probably understand the situation. The black spots eroding the inner space of the earth, according to the black and white cats, are impurities of abyss energy emitted by the burning hellfire. The energy of the abyss completely overcomes the black spots and can be removed. The generation of abyss energy requires hellfire. It's a cycle again. Now the biggest problem has shifted from the unquenchable hellfire to the black spots. If the black spots are allowed to grow, sooner or later they will completely erode the inner space of the earth. If the inner space of the earth rots, what will happen to Blue Star? No one knows about this kind of thing. After all, there has never been such a precedent. However, it doesn't matter what the Earth's inner space is like. But there's more than just black spots and hellfire in the inner space. And the blue star core. The reason why the blue star core has never been found is because it exists in the inner space of the Earth. Every planet has its core part, which is also the most advanced part of a planet that contains energy. The only core of the planet that has been discovered so far is the core of the Sun. The reason is simple. Because the Sun was half blown out. Only half of the Sun is left, and only half of the Sun's core is left. The other half of the Sun's core is scattered throughout the solar system and turned into high-level Sun essence. As the most essential part of a planet, the various values of the blue star core are indescribable. In addition to practicality, there is also some hidden value. For example, the luck of a planet or something. This should be considered an urban legend. The core of a planet is related to the destiny of the planet. This is information that no one has confirmed, but it cannot be ignored. What will happen to Blue Star if its core is eroded by black spots? Big earthquake? Volcanic eruption? Tsunami? Territory fragmentation? The end of the world? I don't know. I don't know. If it is the core of a planet, how much energy does it equal? Yejing looked at the black and white cat and asked. How many planet cores do we need to see? The black and white cat shook his head. How much energy there is will be known only after it is transformed. Convert. Yejing suddenly stretched out his hand and pinched the black and white cat's neck, exuding a dangerous aura from his whole body, and said with a smile, "Excuse me, when will my other abyss-level passive skill be evolved successfully? If you give it to the furnace, it can be. Can you pull it out instantly?" Ahem. Right away. Right now. Yejing threw the black and white cat away. This lazy guy didn't know how to work hard without forcing him. I'm going to go out and solve the problem of dark spots first. I advise you to evolve it for me as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will stay in the dark space for the rest of your life. After Yejing threatened a few words, he exited the furnace space. Earth's inner space. The ground was filled with lava and the sky was filled with flames. Within his sight alone, he could see hundreds of magmas spewing hundreds of meters into the sky, then exploding into brilliant sparks. At first, he stopped in front of a volcano crater. The appearance of this crater has been covered with about 30% black spots. A lot. How much abyss energy does this consume? Only 1% of his body's capacity is abyssal energy. Let's try it first. Yejing mobilized the remaining abyss energy in his body into his palm and pressed it on the black spot of the crater. Sure enough, the moment the black spots touched the energy of the abyss, they dispersed a lot, and the dark color became a little lighter. However, in the blink of an eye, the abyss energy in his body was exhausted. The capacity is still too small. Yejing sighed, Does he have to practice again? Only after all the spiritual energy in the body is converted into abyss energy can there be plenty of time to remove the black spots and find the core of the blue star. Sit cross-legged. Forget it, the ground is too hot to sit on. If it weren't for the spiritual energy covering his entire body, his clothes would have turned into ashes and he would have started running around naked. There is a large amount of abyss energy in the Earth's core space now, and it only needs to be absorbed normally. Yejing calmed down his breath and slowly relaxed his body and mind. With each breath, the abyss energy, which was an unknown level higher than the spiritual energy, flowed into his body, filling up the 1% share in the blink of an eye. Then, attack towards the spiritual energy share. A minute passed. 2 minutes passed. 10 minutes passed. The originally calm mood became violent due to the time issue. Why don't you move? Yejing's temples exploded, and there were black lines on his face. A full 10 minutes have passed, and the abyss energy in his body has not increased at all, as if it is fixed, with only 1% share. Or is he thinking too simply? That's not the calculation at all. 1% of the energy in his body has been occupied by abyss energy. This means that from now on, his spiritual energy will only occupy 99% and cannot be recovered. This is a divine transformation. When the share of abyss energy reaches 100%, he will no longer be able to absorb spiritual energy. This is a problem. Headache. Yejing rubbed his sore temples and had no choice but to change his strategy again and continue to place his palms on the black spots. While removing dark spots, it transforms the energy of the abyss. Save time and do two things at once. Absorb the abyss energy from the other side, and then release the abyss energy from the other side. Half an hour later, he was calm. 1 hour later, he was irritated. 2 hours later, he was desperate. How long will it take to remove this? Yejing looked at the small volcano in front of him with a look of despair. The black spots covering this small volcano have been completely removed, but it took 2 hours. He looked at the endless Earth's core space, and a sense of powerlessness came to him. This is not something he can solve alone. It is impossible to estimate how many black spots exist in the entire Earth's core space. If he is alone, he will not be able to remove them successfully for decades. Not only that, Yejing looked gloomy and looked at a blazing hellfire in the distance. The hellfire is continuously emitting abyss energy and producing black spots at the same time. Such a familiar scene. It's like there is a 5 cubic meter pool, Xiaoming puts 1 kilogram of water in an hour, and Xuanhuan takes 2 kilograms of water in an hour. How long will it take to fill the pool? Who knows? No, let's just forget it. Yejing shook his head and said to himself, changing the priority. Change the first goal from removing the black spots to finding the core of the blue star. First find the core of the blue star, then see the situation. That being said, where should I look? Yejing looked around. East, south, west, and north were all the same color and the same appearance, and there was no change at all. What should I do? Should I just walk around? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 450. At the same time. After Wuxian stepped into this space, he touched his hands first. Huh? No one. Where is that kid Yejing? He looked around and found no trace of Yejing. Has it been transferred by space? Emperor Wuxian murmured to himself, well, forget it, there are still 2 little devils in my hands anyway, there will always be a time when we meet again. The most important thing now should be this mysterious energy. Emperor Wuxian's attention was completely attracted by the energy of the abyss. The energy in his body has begun to riot. The irrepressible spiritual energy was intertwined with the energy of the abyss. Shocking and violent aura emitted from his body, and the powerful energy shook the surrounding area. What excites him most is not just the spiritual energy riot, but a catastrophic riot. He felt that the great calamity, which was motionless like 1,000 years of ice, was actually a little loose, and even seemed to be ready to move. He is now at the peak of the first disaster of the 3 disaster realms. He has stayed in this realm for a long time. No matter how stimulated he is, he cannot break through. The first disaster has never come. But now, after being exposed to a large amount of abyss energy, the first disaster has actually loosened. He had a hunch that he might be able to break through in this inner space. Break the first disaster and step into the second disaster. Now in the solar system, the only known giant that has entered the second disaster is World Tree. The other 3 disaster realms are all stuck in the first disaster. It's not that we can't withstand the disaster, it's that the disaster doesn't come at all. But it's different now. After the abyss energy invaded, the first disaster was finally released. Emperor Wuxian's attention at this moment was all attracted by the loose first disaster, and he directly entered the cultivation state, emptied the spiritual energy in his body, and began to transform the abyss energy. Emperor Wuxian was not the only one who made the same choice. And Anthony. When Anthony stepped into the inner space of the earth, his first disaster that had been waiting for a long time also moved. This almost caused him to suffer from cerebral infarction and death. He had forgotten everything about extinguishing the hellfire and rescuing Yejing. The most important thing now is breakthrough. Would you like to give the old Dean a super Q notification? Anthony said to himself, and the thought disappeared in the blink of an eye. Let's wait until I break through to the second disaster. If it fails again, wouldn't it be in vain? In addition to Emperor Wuxian and Anthony, there are 2 other semi-saints who entered the inner space of the earth, that is, the strong men who were stuck in the first disaster of the 3 disasters. One is the Flame Dragon. One is Ice Phoenix. Their actions differ from the normal thinking of these 2 humans. When the Flame Dragon saw this space made entirely of flames, its saliva instantly turned into a river. This is simply the most beautiful world. Eat, 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 eat. The giant flame dragon opened its mouth fiercely, and the strong suction sucked everything around it into its stomach. Whether it's hellfire, abyss energy, or flame, whatever comes is welcome. He even gnawed on the flame mountain, which was full of black spots. Thanks to the flame dragon, the black spots were reduced 10,000 times faster than Yejing. The flame dragon likes this inner space. Ice Phoenix, on the other hand, hates this inner space of the earth. Is this what's eroding my entire family? The Ice Phoenix exuded a dangerous aura, and the cold of thousands of degrees below zero froze the flames within a radius of several hundred meters into ice crystals. Its originally arrogant eyes were filled with disgust, and the world that glanced at the flames was full of hostility. This kind of space is so rubbish. A sharp bird call resounded across the sky, and the Ice Phoenix spread out its ice wings hundreds of meters long. Deep white cold air and blizzard covered the sky, and I sealed the flames of heaven and earth in all directions. The world of fire suddenly became a world of ice. Hellfire and flames are completely frozen. It was also thanks to the Ice Phoenix that the hellfire was temporarily frozen and the formation of black spots was slowed down at a high speed. Freeze this world completely. These 4 people who are not doing their jobs properly. Fortunately, they were not doing their job, so Yejing had time to find the core of Blue Star and take it into his bag. Which way should I go? Yejing pondered, if you go in the wrong direction, it will be a waste of time. The energy emitted by the core of the Blue Star is different from being as low as spiritual energy, and different from being as superior as abyss energy. It is somewhere in the middle. They should be easy to distinguish, right? Yejing spread out his aura and explored the surrounding energy fluctuations. However, it was of no use. The distance he could explore was too small. Exploring. Exploring. Yejing was stunned for a moment, and his eyes gradually brightened. I don't have to check it out myself. Yejing hurriedly entered the furnace space and caught the black and white cat, who was working hard to transform energy and evolve its inherent skills. Didn't you say that you can also use the furnace function? Release the search function panel quickly. Don't shake, don't shake. The black and white cat was almost frothing at the mouth. A few seconds later, a very familiar panel appeared. Haven't seen you for a long time. Search. Category. Name. Distance. Custom. Yejing first clicked on the name and started setting it up. Category, items. Name, Blue Star Core. Distance, 100 square kilometers. Whether to consume 100,000 spirit stones to enter the search. Oh, it's not electronic music this time. It was the voice of the black and white cat. As the search function started, an invisible wave emanated from Yejing's mind and spread to the surroundings. 1 kilometer. 10 kilometers. 99 kilometers. Until the moment at the edge of the range, the exploration function was not fed back. An image similar to the brainwave map appeared in Yejing's mind. This direction? 100 kilometers, so far. Yejing set his sights on a direction. He needed to cross a large number of flaming mountains to reach his destination. Forget about the hellfire and black spots. Getting the Blue Star Core is important. He didn't forget that there were 4 other big guys who entered the geocentric space with him. Once any of the other big guys found the Blue Star Core, he would have no chance of taking it for himself. Fortunately, he could locate it and go directly to the Blue Star Core and get the Blue Star Core in the shortest time. Let's get started. Yejing moved his feet. In order to speed up his movement, he took off all his clothes except for a pair of shorts. He transferred all the other clothes and space rings to the furnace space and stuffed them into the black and white cat's mouth. Anyway, the black and white cat also serves as a 9-square grid, so there is nothing to worry about. Fortunately, Yejing did not take off her underwear, otherwise she would not swallow it even if it choked the black and white cat to death. No clothes, light, and there is no one else here, no need to cover up, you can run wildly without restraint. Of course, it would be better if the temperature was lower. It was too hot, and a layer of sweat had already appeared on his forehead, flowing down his cheeks and then evaporating. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 451. It's better to take off your clothes when the temperature is high. Yejing began to move towards the exact direction of the core of the blue star. He wanted to get the core of the blue star before everyone else. During the movement, in the center of the earth, he could only see flames, magma, and giant rock volcanoes. Deep red flames, dark flames. Aura, abyssal energy, and black spots. Then, there were some disgusting creatures. Yejing flew through the center of the earth, and wherever he passed, there was a heat wave, and almost solid waves flowed around. He was moving well until he saw some kind of creature, and then he stopped for 2 steps. No, he didn't stop, but was stopped. What? Yejing was running at high speed, and suddenly his feet slipped, as if he was tripped by something. The strong inertia made his whole body fly into the air and fall into the magma, emitting rolling heat waves. Oops! Yejing's heart trembled. The temperature of the magma in the center of the earth was so high that even steel made from thousands of steel bars could melt in an instant. He was not a physical practitioner, and his physical strength could not withstand the temperature of the magma in the center of the earth. If he fell into the magma river, he could predict what would happen. The first thing that could not bear it was his underwear and hair. The second thing that would melt the white shield of the orphan way. Then came the extraordinary physique, which would trigger the war after recovering in an instant. After just 3 seconds, his whole body would turn into melted water. So he was not the kind of person who could take a bath in magma. Hanging in the air, without any support, when he was less than 3 meters away from the magma torrent, Yejing suddenly stepped on his right foot with his left foot, and with the momentum, he rose 2 meters high. Then, without any pause, he hurriedly changed his feet, stepped on his left foot with his right foot, and moved diagonally upward again. With his feet exchanging momentum, Yejing's body stepped on the air, and with the flexibility of his body, he turned over and landed safely. Traditional martial arts of ancient mortals. Stepping on the cloud ladder. It is said that in ancient times, many mortals used this technique to fly up to a height of thousands of meters by stepping on their left foot with their right foot. At that time, I thought it was an urban legend until I used it myself. It turns out that stepping on the right foot with the left foot can really take you to the sky. What tripped me just now? Yejing remembered it after landing, and turned his head to look at the path he had just taken. On the ground that was burned red by magma, a long strip similar to a sponge material was crawling on the ground. Half of the sponge strip was lazily attached to the ground, and the other half was in the magma torrent. What is this thing? Are there other species in the center of the earth? Yejing frowned and muttered, squatting on the ground with curiosity, grabbing the sponge strip with one hand, and then pulling it suddenly. Whether it was intentional or he just couldn't control his strength, Yejing used a lot of force, pulling out the species hidden in the magma torrent along the sponge strip and throwing it into the air. Instantly, a huge shadow completely blocked his vision. Oh my God! Yejing looked up at the behemoth in the sky in a daze, and an ominous premonition came to his mind. It's over, am I not asking for trouble? Covering the sky, it was a super large octopus. The octopus was dark red all over, and there were faint flames floating on its body. Its body was about 20 meters long, and each of its 8 smooth long legs was 10 meters long. The round octopus head pouted with a slightly blackened black mouth. Slippery and sticky, the 8 octopus legs waved irregularly. So disgusting. It was like a creature in some type of anime. The giant octopus is a primitive creature that exists in the center of the earth. It was originally of normal size, but it became so huge after being washed by the energy of the abyss. The octopus, which had been sleeping in the magma torrent, was suddenly awakened. When it reacted again, it was already in mid-air. The octopus was floating in the air in a daze. Maybe because of its IQ, it was stunned for more than 10 seconds before it reacted and stared at Yejing with its eyes wide open. Woo 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 woo. It seemed to express its anger, such a disgusting sound. Got it? Is this a greeting? Yejing showed a kind smile to the giant octopus and waved, hello, goodbye. Then he shifted more than 10 degrees and walked in another direction. However, this is not something you can leave just because you want to. The giant octopus seemed to have a bad temper after waking up. After the woo 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 cry, the round black mouth suddenly surged a few times, and a dark liquid gushed out and shot towards Yejing. Wow! So disgusting. Yejing dodged hurriedly, rolled on the ground, and barely dodged. Hiss, so hot. The brief contact with the hot ground burned his back red. Moreover, he did not completely avoid the black liquid because the distance was too close. A little bit of black liquid was splashed on one of his legs, as if a pile of impurities were stuck on his legs, which was disgusting. The corrosion feeling came from his right leg, as if it was going to penetrate the skin and penetrate into the nerves. Damn octopus! After Yejing cursed inwardly, he subconsciously put his hand on his waist and made a gesture of drawing a knife. He was just about to pull out the golden knife and chop the giant octopus in front of him to cook, but he suddenly froze. What the hell? Where is my knife? I forgot. The golden knife was blown into powder on Pluto. He was sweating coldly in an instant. How could he forget such an important thing? He was going to make another golden knife, or a more powerful weapon, but he never found the right time. Some time ago, he was also using Zhao Danggong's golden shovel, which led to the problem of weapons being forgotten. Now I remember it when I need it. He has no weapons. The main weapon is broken, and there is no backup weapon at all. How can I fight without weapons? Bare hands? Yejing's body was completely frozen, and he looked at the giant octopus in the sky with a stiff face. Now the problem is, how can I deal with this slippery, soft creature? Without sharp weapons, how can I cut off its 8 fat claws? Without sharp weapons, how can I separate its soft tissues? Yejing was stunned, but the giant octopus was not. A thick claw leg fell from above, and its speed made a very loud sound in the air. With a whoosh, it suddenly stabbed at Yejing. It was obviously a fat guy, but it was so fast. Yejing hugged his arms and seized the opportunity. At the moment when the claw leg was about to swing towards his body, he hugged it tightly. Grab with both arms.